over the next couple weeks or next couple months, actually, we're going to start this project called the Rifleman's Reset. And the Rifleman's Reset is a kind of a training, an online training program, or online training community that Andy has been wanting to do for a long time, and we've kind of been working with him on the technical side of that to pull things together. And so, can you tell us a little bit about kind of like what the goal is and why we're doing it and that sort of thing?
Absolutely. So Rifleman's Reset is kind of bringing us to a point to where we can start to build some community and training partners. One of the things that's really tough in the long-range shooting game is most people don't live real close together. It's not like if you're in a basketball club or a bowling league or something like that, where you can have that tight-knit community where you're real close to the people that you compete with. So a lot of people come to me for a 1, 2, or 3 day training session, and they're like, okay, what do I do next? And how do I continue this training to make sure that I'm getting better? So it's like anything else, if you go to a martial arts class or you go to any type of instruction, but you don't carry it on and apply it regularly, it's not going to be as valuable to you, and you're not going to get as efficient as quickly as you would want. So we're going to try to bring a really fundamentals-based training cycle that's going to give you the ability to kind of see what other people are doing and where they're at and compare it to where you're at, and a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, and I think the interesting thing, talking about the like training partners, like I know that you and Keith and Laurel have shot together pretty heavily, and I know that's been a big, at least on Laurel's side. Laurel's my daughter. If you don't know, on that side, I know it's been a huge benefit for her just to have a kind of a training partners that she can communicate with and talk about, ask questions to, have follow up stuff after matches or pre-match stuff getting ready. Because I think one of the things that's interesting when you look at people that go to the gym or jiu-jitsu or something like that, like I think the accountability is a huge piece of that. Like having that partnership where you've got somebody that again, you're regularly communicating with and you're sort of involved with that motivates you to keep going on the days that you don't want to. Not that most of us may have the self-discipline. I don't. I'm much better if I have a group that I'm kind of working with on projects and stuff like that. I'm much more apt to get way more done if that exists. And I think that's kind of the basis for this, is to kind of pull that the major goal is to pull that community together in developing marksmanship and your competitive shooting piece and your life, right? Like adding pieces into that are going to be beneficial, like going to the gym and doing different things. So there's different challenges. So what are some of the challenges? Because we're looking at X amount of shooting time per week, per month, per whatever, per training cycle, which is 90 days. And then we're looking at challenges that you're going to do along the way.
Right. So let's talk about a little bit, going back to what you said. So there's going to be about 700 minutes of dry fire time required in the 90 days. That equates to about 15 minutes, 4 days a week. And they're going to be flexible on how they can accomplish that. So if they have 5 days a week, they're going to do 10 minutes or whatever the number works out to be. And there's going to be a tracker that's going to keep up with it for you. So the dry fire time is just a piece of it, but it's, you'll have that tracked. So you'll just input, okay, today I did 10 minutes or today I did 30 minutes, and we'll keep track of that for you. And then you'll also need to complete the challenges. So there's going to be 8 different challenges. And, this is the first cycle that we're doing, so it may change in the future. But for right now, it's 8 different challenges. And some of those are like, compete in a 2-day match or 2 one-day matches. So that would be like the competitor challenge. One of them would be the gym rat challenge, where you either join a resistance weight training gym or a jiu-jitsu gym, just anything. We're trying to help you in your
yoga.
Yeah, yoga for stretching. Literally, it's in there. We're looking at what is going to make your life better. And anything we're doing in the shooting sports, if you're more flexible and more physically fit, it's going to be easier. Does that mean you can't do it if you're not physically fit? No, but it's just easier if you do get that exercise in. And
you're going to be more competitive. And then there's other stuff like books and things like that are on that list. It's kind of reading 2 books. There's inclement weather challenges like being out shooting in the rain and the cold, and live fire challenges I know that were in there. live firing 2 or 3 days in a row, or things like that to be able to complete and kind of check off that list. So looking at it, I know part of your goal was to have sort of a well-rounded system that improves your shooting. So it's not just about, hopefully maybe you get a little more fit, hopefully we get a little smarter, and hopefully we shoot a rifle a little better.
That's right. And keep in mind, this is not just for PRS. That's, kind of my main discipline. But, if you're a hunter, if you're a 3-position shooter, any of that stuff, this is going to be tailored more towards NRL and PRS. But anybody that's willing to put the dry fire time in, if they're into that, whatever shooting sport, you can go in and do the same thing. So like a hunting guy, instead of using a barricade for his eval target, he'd probably use a tripod. And, so it's flexible in that you can pretty much be training for any rifle sport, but, obviously we're from the PRS and NRL background.
So one of the things, you'll see another video that's on how to use eval targets. So basically there's a kind of an entry eval target and an exit eval target, and something you can do along the way. So it gives you a place where you can start. Here's my baseline. Here's what I started with. And that is time and accuracy and positions. And then sort of an ending on that. And potentially, obviously you can run that test multiple times throughout the project, but there's a downloadable target and there's some targets we'll ship you. And speaking of that, out of the gate, basically you end up getting sort of laminated checklists of all the normal checklists that Andy has, which are pretty comprehensive, I would say, broken up into sections. You'll see some video on how to use a data card, and a data card that Andy's kind of developed and along the way through his stuff. So you'll actually get some of those sent out, and you'll get some of the eval targets sent out of the gate. And then kind of at the end of that project, we've got some completion stuff. So we've got some completion patches and gifts and stuff like that you'll end up getting when you finish that. I think that's kind of fun as far as community building and stuff like that. The other thing there's going to be a live Q&A done every week. So you'll be able to, once a week, we'll record those and then we'll post them to the group so that if you miss them, you get to go back and hear them. Or if you want to submit questions because you can't make the actual live Q&A piece, you can submit them ahead of time, and Andy's going to go through, and basically you're going to get access to Andy live 12 weeks in a row. For Q&A stuff, either on the topic that we're working on or other topics as we kind of go down the road. So I think that's, thinking about being able to have that resource, because again, it's having the resource or a subject matter expert that you can go to and ask questions where you're having trouble and kind of work through that. So as you're training, if you've got stability issues or you're having trouble with your kestrel or you're trying to figure things out, you've got that resource that you can circle back with. And obviously there's videos on all that stuff. There's weekly videos that come out more than one a week. A lot of times that are kind of presented on different topics and how to do different things and things to work on and things to train on.
You're only a week away from an answer at the most, right?
Right.
So we're going to be doing the live videos every week. And then every week I'm going to have a topic that we're going to talk about for, no more than 10 minutes. And then that way you're kind of hearing what the topic of the week is, whether it's a fundamental or a technology piece. I'm going to basically just talk through it, hit the wave tops, and then open it up for questions and answers. And I'm going to be available there for an hour. So basically from, the start to finish is an hour. Like you said, having 3 months of live Q&A is a pretty valuable piece.
I think that'll be really interesting. I think there's a lot of benefit to that because there's just a lot of information. And there's a lot of miscellaneous questions I think you come up with along the way as you're training. And when you're, the biggest times that I'm, when I see improvement, so I coach a 4-H rifle team and have had, state and nationally competitive kids. And the ones that are successful are typically the ones that are out, doing it every single day or 4 or 5 days a week. Those are the ones that actually run into problems or need a solution, right? And being able to have the resource to get that solution, I think is going to be super handy and interesting to see and what people come up with and that sort of thing. So, yeah, I think that's the kind of the basis for everything. Is there anything I've missed that you can think of?
One of the only things I can think of that we didn't talk about yet is it's going to be a very limited initial class.
Yeah.
So this training cycle is going to be limited to 30 shooters.
Yeah.
And so especially for those lives, if you have questions, there's only going to be 30 shooters in the live
Right.
at the most.
Right.
That means if all of them show up, which we know they won't.
Right.
So,
Sure.
you're probably going to be like one of 10 guys, 15 guys that are in the live, and you'll have, an hour to ask questions and learn from other questions. And I recommend being on the live because if you think about it, you may not have a question right now, but somebody else asks a question, brings up a topic, and you're like, oh, what about?
Yeah.
And then you ask the question.
Yeah.
So I think that's important. But yeah, I'm really excited about it. I think it's nothing like this that I know of is being done. We're not really looking at this as like this is a online training course in that you're clicking through videos and just watching videos. This is more of a practice regimen, a practice plan, and we're here to be your partner through it.
Right.
And we're going to put out a ton of videos and a ton of stuff, and you're going to get some cool swag. But my main focus was that, okay, I need you to practice, and I'm going to help you practice.
That's a big thing is knowing what to do next or what to work on, and again, having that resource to go back and say, oh, I'm having trouble with tripod rear, or I'm having trouble with tack table. How do you measure for something? What do you do? I think that is hugely beneficial. Like I said, in watching, Laurel's development, that's been immensely positive for her.
Now, one thing I will say is I would like to see this turn into different levels, and we've talked about that.
Sure.
You should know, like, the first cycle is going to be a lot of fundamentals focused stuff, and we're going to focus on building that Rifleman's reset, being like, we're trying to make you a fundamentally sound shooter, because the ones that are winning every weekend, it's not because they know some fancy secret. It's because they're practicing the fundamentals and they're doing the right things right,
Yeah.
And so
They break a good trigger. They get in good position. They find their natural point of aim.
Yep.
All that good stuff.
Not only that, so we're going to have a Facebook group as well.
Yep.
So if you're having issues, you can get your wife or your friend to take a video of you, post it up there, and
Yep.
I'll take some time a few days a week to go through the Facebook group, and if there's questions on the group or if there's videos that people post, like, we want this to be a community. So the more you involve yourself with it, the better it'll be. And but anyway, so like to your point, like, hey, I'm having trouble with stability, and you post a video up. Maybe I answer it. Maybe somebody else in the group has experienced that before and they answer it. But my intent is for this to become a community where people can come and talk about how to get better as a community.
No, so that's exciting. So there'll be a Facebook group, there'll be live Q&A. There's a tracker for your progress on all the things, whether it's challenges or dry fire time. There's some resources to use, some resources to download, a bunch of video resources that are going to kind of come along as you go. So it seems like it's going to be an interesting, fun project.
Yep, I'm excited about it.